Hello, YouTube. The bulls put in a massive gap down pump up. We bounced off exactly 390. Sorry, 390.14. We got a little bit of bull volume coming in, but there is something we have to pay attention to because there is more at play than purely the price here. So if you enjoyed today's video, I would really appreciate if you could smash a thumbs up. I am so grateful to see that people like smashing the thumbs up because it tells me that you guys enjoy the content as much as I like creating it. And it's a big personal thank you to me. So thank you so much. So first thing I want to talk about today is just the pattern I'm noticing here. I'm noticing that we have an inverse head and shoulders. This is generally going to be a bullish pattern. And the reason why this matters is because we've been talking about our 200 DMA. And the only way that I see us getting there is by at least getting a little bit of chop in the sideways action here before we curl up and ultimately hit roughly 405 to 410. We also want to keep in mind that there is Opex tomorrow, or options expiry. And today was the first Thursday Opex. We christened it with a gap down pump up. And in true manipulation fashion, every single chain pretty much got smoked today. The bulls and the bears. Why? Because we closed almost unchanged. We closed down by about 0.3% on SPY, and we closed down by about 0.2% for QQQ. But because there was an Opex today, it just added more complexity to the trade. We will circle back and talk about that a little bit later. What I want to focus on first is going to be this pocket right here because what I think is going to happen. Actually, let's take a step back here because I think what's so important is looking at the weekly chart where we understand that we now have a spinning top. A spinning top just signifies, like a doji spinning top. It just means we're not really moving all that much. We open at 396 and right now we're sitting at 394. That's not really moving all that much. We got a wick on the up and the bottom, which is roughly the same. But what I was looking for was that bounce at 390, and we got it. We bounced exactly off 390.1. The 0.1 area is where I expect to usually find buyers, and that's just because it's how it works. That's just how it works. So now that we have accomplished the first part that I was looking for, it's really important to keep in mind that I still think we're going to get a weekly higher high. Ignore all the noise on here. There's a lot of lines. I just don't want to delete them because I'm going to lose them. So if we're going to get to a weekly higher high next week and put in the 7th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, tomorrow, next week or the next candle would be 7. I think we can get 8 to 10. I think we can squeeze up here to about 405 to 410 and then TBD. So if we now look back here to our daily chart, how can we get a higher high next week? Because now we got to make it to 402.32 to actually get to that weekly higher high. I think the way we could do that is by just looking back to our template, which is really just this period here. So we go back and look at, okay, well, let's zoom in nice and close here. We close at the low and then we gap down, pump up. Interesting. So we close at the low on August 31st, then we gap down, pump up. What do we got here? Close at the low, and I said the probability was that we were going to get a move lower. I didn't know we were going to gap down, but there we go. We gap down, pumped up, baby. Whoop. And if I look at here, okay, so that's Thursday. Again, let's just pretend it's exactly as predicted here. Again, the saying is that history does not repeat itself, but it often rhymes. There's our low of the day close. There's our gap down, pump up. Wouldn't that be something tomorrow? If we gap up, I don't think it's going to be that big of a gap. But if we do, cool. What could cause it? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. So gap up, and then we sell off all the way down to the low. Why would that happen? More Opex burn. Options monthly expiry is tomorrow. Again, we will circle back and have a look at those chains in a moment. It's just a little more complicated for the average viewer. All it means is that this is exactly what they want. They want us flatlining because flat burns calls and puts. Equal opportunity. So pretend we close here on Friday, and then we continue the move. Well, this would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Whoop! What would that be? That'd be a new high of the week, and we could close at the weekly high. So if we now go back here to our weekly chart, now let's just delete everything for a moment to see what that would look like. What this would mean would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then next week 7, closing at the high. That might be all we get. Maybe we get more, maybe we don't, but I'm still looking for more weekly higher highs until we don't. So I am noticing a pattern here which is screaming at me. And now if I bring back all my lines to give it a little bit more context, what would that really mean? Well, as of right now, there's color-coded lines on here. Red means resistance. You can see where the horizontal ray starts from. It goes back to our gap. White means important. Pink means pivot. So we pivoted off of the level this week. Now we're right back here to an important level at 395. And I think we're going to close at a round number, either 390, right? 390, 395, or 400. I don't know which number it's going to be. Drop me a comment as you are clicking that button to make the thumb turn blue, please and thank you. 390, 395, 400, or maybe even lower or higher. Really curious what you think. And again, what we're here to talk about is probabilities. We're here to talk about what is likely going to happen. We're trying to predict. But as we've said many times, it is better to react than it is to predict. And reacting to the gap down pump up today would have been beautiful. It was a beautiful move. And if we look to QQQ now, it was really interesting that we actually filled the gap earlier in the day, but then actually came back down. And what does this really show us here? Well, it shows us that we're actually going to be getting a close of over 200 weekly, even without looking at the weekly chart. Check. That looks pretty bull. And then we look at, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 daily closes above the 50 DMA. That kind of looks like short-term momentum building up to the upside. Cool. Next thing here, well, we got our pink lines or our dominant trend. We got a trend here. We got our breakout. And now we're back testing the breakout range, holding our uptrend. That's healthy. Why? If we're going to keep powering up into the end of the year, maybe even a Santa rally, it's good that we form some support as we go higher. That's how we know these are built on solid foundation. Also, a little bit of a test for fear and greed today, right? Make sure everyone's nice and scared. We're not really going anywhere. Throttling roughly low 60s for fear and greed. Perfect. Let people buy, let them fold, and let them do it all over again. So jumping back to SPY here. Same thing. I'm noticing we have this downtrend here. It's pretty much holding on a breakout. We still have dominant green volume, even though it's not like super. It's not super fantastic. That's okay. And TBD. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I am watching an area here really close to you at 395 because this is where, if we look at a shorter time frame, there is a head and shoulders pattern setting up. So we're now going to look at the chart that I was pointing out when I said, OMG, you cannot ignore this. It was the ES. ES here is showing us that, yes, we got a perfect rejection here. Poke above the pink line, poke above. And then when we finally got our close yesterday below 39.73, if you remember from the video yesterday, that's what I was talking about. We weren't sure where we're going to close. We closed at 3968. No surprise. That was the day we went down for our big old slam, going back to strong support, or that important white line. So now, what does that mean? Well, probably same thing as before. If we're going to get an upside move, we have to be above 395 SPY and 3973.5 on ES. Otherwise, I think we're likely going to go nowhere. So let's look at one more thing, which is going to be the hourly chart on the E-mini futures. And again, this is part of the benefit for being in our group. You can click on the link in the description because I provided updates all day. This was actually my initial target for my short that I put on. I exited early. I got stopped out on part of it, but I was looking at this head and shoulders pattern. I was looking for 390 to get tested. Check. And then on the breakout, I was calling for a reversal. Our algo actually called it too. I was just busy, and honestly, I didn't really want to trade. So it doesn't mean just because there's a trade setup, you have to take it. It's okay to set up the trade and then not actually pull the trigger. That's okay. Don't have to make every trade. We're not Ash Ketchum. We're not going to catch them all. We're not going to catch every single trade, and we're not going to bottom and top tick. So if now we look to the pattern I was looking at, a dominant head and shoulders, or looking here at the red line, we now note that we're going to have a big old test here at basically our 50 MA. If we're going to go higher, we have to advance here. If we're going to break down, all we really have to do is fall back below 3960. 3930s, or our VWAP, currently at roughly 3940. And then we're looking for a soft landing at probably about 3,900. So that's really all we really had to go through today. Dollar went up a little bit, but who really cares? There's more turmoil in crypto, but can't really seem to take us down. All right, so let's look at those options chains because, oh boy, is this spicy. Let's have a look here. I think this is actually mislabeled because this is not actually a monthly expiry. This is for a Thursday. It's the very first one. What do they do? Well, they burnt all the prem. So we closed at 394. These got torched. Everything above got burnt. Right here, 394. Everything below got burnt, which means, hey, thank you for the premium. We really appreciate your donations to the stock market. Thanks so much. Now you get five chances to lose every week. Why? Because there's 5 weekly expiries now, 5 0 DTEs. Yes, Yes, more chances to gamble, more chances to lose. But what I am paying attention to is not today's chain, but tomorrow's. Why? This is the big dog. There's usually about $1 trillion of notional value expiring, which just means there's a lot of money up for grabs. And if we look here at November 18th, what happened? Well, every single call got hurt. There is red everywhere. It was right. They killed it with fire. Over here on the puts, almost everything's red too, right? Only things that are actually gaining value is what's in the money, as we would expect. But when I look here, the job for the market makers, the option sellers, is to burn the premium. And they did an excellent job. And when I look here, I got 390, 395, and 400. Max pain is going to be TBD based on where this OI converts here tomorrow. I thought 400 was max pain on the weekend. We'll see if I'm right. And with that said, thank you so much for watching. And I very much look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you want to tune in for our live stream, we're going to be on here. And our stream is already scheduled. If you subscribe, you'll be notified when we go live. Thank you for watching. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks so much.